All right, listen up. This next part is very serious. We are in the top 11 movies of 2019, ranked, okay? Once we get past this first one, we'll be in the top 10. And once we get that one out of the way, we're talking the top 9. I've even gotten myself a glass of water because I anticipate this one is going to heat up a lot. Let's get started. Number 11, Ford v Ferrari. I am not a race car movie guy. I've never seen a race car movie. I don't like race cars. I'm not into cars. I'm not into racing cars, race cars. I'm not into it. But this movie is outright and downright terrific. Matt Damon is fun. Christian Bale is great. Jon Bernthal's in it. He's Lee Iacocca. I know that name. This movie is the story of a race. I don't know anything about racing history, but they're in France and it's 24 hours. And they said over at Ford, we're going to beat Ferrari. And guess what? They try their best. And I'm not going to tell you who wins. But they come in first place. So it's a fun movie. It's actually, I was very interested. I'm not a car guy. Like I said, doesn't pique my interest. Does not tickle my fancy. You know what does? Movies. And this one definitely tickled my fancies. I think that's how you use that phrase. I'm not certain. Definitely check out Ford v Ferrari. It's also a little long. This one's long too. Not nearly as long as The Irishman, and not quite as much as Midsommar, but it's worth the time that you spend watching it. You get kind of like engaged with it. Like you actually don't know what's going to happen next, and it was fun to watch. So check it out. Number 10, I waited so long for this movie, and it pretty much didn't disappoint. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This one took some warming up to. The first time I saw it, I was a little bummed out. I was sweating in the theater. I was sitting there, I was so nervous. It was my first Tarantino movie in theaters. I missed out on Hateful Eight, and I wasn't paying attention before that. But now I'm paying attention, and I was so excited to sit in that theater and watch a Quentin Tarantino movie. It was an honor. And I watched it, and I was like, that was fine. And then I went back and watched it again. I didn't realize that this movie is not supposed to be like his other movies. This one's way more relaxed. You're watching 3 people go about their daily lives, and you know that one of them is Sharon Tate, and you have a feeling you know what's going to happen to her at the end of the movie. I don't know if you know, but Sharon Tate, famous actress at the time, was murdered in her house by some of the Manson family because she's famous or something. I don't know. I thought they were supposed to be racist. I don't know why they're killing her. But this movie's a blast. It's a joyride. It really immerses you in 1960s Hollywood. That's where Quentin Tarantino grew up, so you can bet that all the details were spot on. Apparently, Bruce Lee was not well portrayed. I thought he was fine. He was portrayed as arrogant, and from what I understand, he was pretty arrogant. And everyone in this movie is just terrific. Leonardo DiCaprio acts a little. Brad Pitt acts a little. I don't think either of them deserved the Oscar nominations that they got. But hey, it's rigged. So check out Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's some surprises in there, and it's actually a very good time. Definitely check it out. Number 9. I love number 9 so much. Ooh, this was so much fun to see. I saw this with my best buddy. Okay, number 9 is Uncut Gems. This one's a gem. You get it? It's a hidden gem. This one's good. This is a movie by the Safdie brothers. I haven't seen any of their other movies before. They supposedly made a very good one with Robert Pattinson called Good Time. I don't know what it's about, and I don't want to know. I want this to be one of those movies that I'm surprised about. But I'm not talking about Good Time. I'm talking about Uncut Gems, starring Adam Sandler. That's right, Adam Sandler, who did Jack and Jill. Adam Sandler. I like Jack and Jill, and I'll defend it to my grave. But he does a lot of bad movies. He does pretty much just comedies, but recently he's kind of dipped his toe in drama, which isn't new. He did Punch Drunk Love, which is a Paul Thomas Anderson movie. I haven't seen it. I'm sorry. But apparently he's great. He did some movie called like the Meyerowitz Stories, also dramatic. The Cobbler was pretty dramatic. But this one was amazing, and I think it's disgraceful that he didn't get an Oscar nomination for it. This movie was really fascinating. I didn't know what to expect, and I was very pleasantly surprised with what I was presented. This movie's stressful. I don't recommend it to everybody. I recommend it to people who know what a good movie looks like, because they're going to like this. Good performances, great camera work. I was blown away by the score. I came home and I couldn't stop listening to it. I was like listening to it and I was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. It's very cosmic and weird, and like it's not like Blade Runner, but it's a little kind of synthesizer music. And I know this is a complete jumble of words, but I really am in disbelief over how good this movie was. Check out Uncut Gems if you like high quality movies. Number 8, The Peanut Butter Falcon. I've given a blurb here. Okay. After running away from a residential nursing home to pursue his dream of becoming a pro wrestler, a man who has Down syndrome befriends an outlaw who becomes his coach and ally. This movie was so heartwarming. Oh my god. I love this. I saw this one with my parents. Everybody liked the movie a lot. Shia LaBeouf, who plays not the Down syndrome man, he plays the outlaw, is great. It's kind of modeled off of like Mark Twain stories. They reference it. They're like, oh, you ever read Mark Twain? It's very on the nose, and it's just a good time. It's very sweet. It's very funny. It looks great. It looks tremendous. I don't recall what the music was like, but I remember liking pretty much everything about this movie. It wasn't super high budget, so they couldn't like go above and beyond, but for what it was, I think it was really, really well done. And I recommend The Peanut Butter Falcon to everybody. Go see that Peanut Butter Falcon movie on the internet or something. Don't pirate it. Okay. Number 7. This one's also special to me. Special enough that I bought it on Blu-ray, DVD, and maybe digital. I'm not so certain. The Art of Self-Defense. I got a blurb. After getting attacked on the street, Casey enlists in a local dojo led by a charismatic and mysterious sensei. He soon uncovers a sinister fraternity of violence and masculinity while learning how to defend himself from a future attack. Casey must now embark on a dark and frightening journey that places him squarely in the sights of his enigmatic new mentor. That's a little spoilery. This movie stars Jesse Eisenberg as Casey, and the whole thing is highly, highly satirical. Some people thought it was political. Like when you go online and read like Google reviews of it, people really rip into it. They're like, this movie is it's kind of, it makes fun of toxic masculinity, but it's not like a movie made by like crazy people. Like my dad said that his buddy saw it, and the sensei in this movie is like every sensei that guy ever had. Like this, it's ridiculous. Everyone in this movie is over the top. It's really all fun and games. It's very dry humor. I do not recommend this for everybody. This is a very specific movie for like a specific range of people, in which I fall straight in the middle, and I am in love with this movie. It's great. I love it. I think it's hysterical. My mom hated it. My dad loved it. I loved it. It made fun of men so hard. Men from like the 90s. Like there's a bit where there's these 3 guys that sit around a table and they all just talk about like, yeah, bro, what's your favorite position? Yeah, I like push-ups. And they're like, they read these masculine like magazines called like Guns and like weightlifting. Like it's a good time. It's fun. It's super weird. If you're not into anything weird, or especially if you're not into indie movies, don't give this a watch. You don't deserve to see it. Number 6. We're getting there, guys. We're getting to that top 4, which is, there's something special about this top 4. But number 6, Knives Out. Knives Out is so much fun, and it's so good. I went with a very large group to see this movie, and that was a great choice. Not that it was necessarily my choice, but we went. It's a whodunit murder mystery by Rian Johnson, who I pretty much only know from a movie I don't like and a movie I do like. He is responsible for Star Wars: The Last Jedi, but don't let that fool you. He's responsible for Looper too. If you don't know Looper, very interesting movie. But this movie is a whodunit starring so many recognizable actors. I was worried that it wouldn't work out, but it did. Everything in this movie was great. It was funny. It kept me guessing. Daniel Craig is in it. There's going to be a sequel. Like, they've made a brand new great detective character out of this. Benoit Blanc is this awesome southerner who's just like they call him the last of the gentleman sleuths. This movie's awesome. It's like 2 hours. It's not too long. It's very funny, and like I said, it keeps you guessing. It's very good at what it's supposed to be. I highly recommend Knives Out to every single person who can comprehend a murder mystery. Top 5 time, guys. All right, number 5, Jojo Rabbit. Ooh, Taika Waititi is a wonderful, wonderful filmmaker. He's the guy responsible for Thor Ragnarok. If you love Thor Ragnarok and you love World War II, if you find it interesting and you think it's a cool setting, this movie takes place in Nazi Germany, and it follows like a radicalized little boy who is a Nazi. He loves the Nazis. Ooh, he loves Hitler so much, but he's a little cowardly, and he has like this imaginary best friend who's Hitler, and it's a very heartwarming movie. I'm man enough to admit I was holding back tears at least 3 times during this movie. I was having a very good time with this movie. It was funny, and then it was not funny. Like, it's serious and funny, and it handles big topics. There's a lot of heart in it, and it's very, very well acted and very well written and very well shot, and I recommend it to everybody. Okay. Before we get into the top 4, I want to issue a warning. The order of these 4 movies has changed a lot. I have no idea which one to put at the top. I have no idea which one to put at the bottom. I'm pretty comfortable with what I arrived at, but just know these 4 are like, they're super similar in quality. And they're all very, very different. None of these movies are similar to each other in any way, shape, or form. Nevertheless, they're pretty similar in quality. Number 4, okay? This was number 1 until like yesterday. So this is just, take all of these with a grain of salt. Number 4, I put 1917. 1917 is a World War I movie. Follows 2 soldiers who have to deliver a message to a place. And it's supposed to kind of be like, it's just this mission. And it is really kind of a gimmick that this movie is supposed to be like one long shot. Sometimes the cuts are really obvious, and they try to cover them up with like explosions, and I don't care though. I don't care about that. This movie, I think, was very well acted by one of the leads, and I think it was extremely well shot. The costumes were amazing. The setting was great. I couldn't look away from this movie. I liked this so much that when I had to use the bathroom in a very rare event during the movie, I was like there and back in 45 seconds. I was sprinting. I was so worried I was going to miss something, and I didn't miss anything. Some of these parts drag out a little bit, but it's not in a bad way. This movie's terrific. Not really for people who aren't into war movies, but this is something that should definitely, if you just like movies at all, give it a try. 1917, great flick. It's very impressive cinematically. Number 3, Marriage Story. I loved Marriage Story so much. I know some people don't want to watch it because they think it's like a sad movie about divorce. And it's not sad, but it's a movie about divorce. These 2 people who would never exist in nature, who are played by Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver, are getting a divorce. And it's just that process. From the beginning of it to the end of it. Like, the movie kicks off, they're starting it, and it ends, they finalize it. Spoiler alert, they get divorced, guys. There's no rom-com nonsense here. They go through it, it happens. And it's interesting because Laura Dern plays like this LA divorce attorney, and these 2 poor people who just want to have like an amicable split get put through this process that they never intend to get themselves into, of just this horrible legal battle, and they have a child, and it's stressful. It's stressful at times, but like, you know it's going to be okay. I keep describing it like they're 2 race cars put on a track. Like, you know what's going to happen, and they know what's going to happen, and there's no getting out of it, and you know that they're going to come out of it fine at the end. And it's a good movie. It's Noah Baumbach. He's famous for his dialogue, which is like hyper-realistic dialogue, and it totally kills in this movie. Adam Driver was outstanding. I think he's one of the greatest all-time actors, and it's really cool to like kind of watch all these movies come out now. These aren't old movies yet, but like, these are ones that should be shown to future generations, and Marriage Story is no exception. Terrific movie, great performances from everybody. It's shot just, it's pretty normal, but it's a beautiful, beautiful movie, and I definitely recommend that everybody watch Marriage Story. This is gonna sound weird, but like, number 2 on this list might be my favorite movie. This isn't a list of my favorite movies. This is a list of what I think are the best movies, but this one's my favorite, okay? Number 2 is Joker. I loved Joker. There are people who feel differently about this movie. Some people think it was lame. Someone thought that the first parts were boring. That's the kind of people that like the Transformers movies. If you ever hear or see any of them, run as fast as you can. This movie is carried mostly by Joaquin Phoenix's outstanding performance. I think so far, it's one of his best, and I think he will do much better in the future. Because this guy is amazing. He's one of my favorite actors, and I've been saying that forever, and I'm proud to be saying it now because I think he's going to win an Oscar for this. So it's a tight race. Joker is a dark, dark movie. I don't recommend it for like small children or anyone like under the age of 13, because there's some heavy themes in this movie that are like they kind of, you don't want them resonating with the wrong people. This movie was like, I didn't really know what was going to happen. I've been waiting for this forever, and I was so worried that it wasn't going to be good, but I knew it would be fine. The guy who made it is the guy that made like The Hangover and The Hangover sequel, so I was like, this is exactly not his wheelhouse, and he nailed it. Todd Phillips directed this. It was great. The score was outstanding. It's winning all types of awards, which it absolutely deserves. The cinematography was awesome. That was great. He was great. Everyone in this movie was... No, that's not true. Not everyone. The supporting cast is not great in this movie, and I'm going to go ahead and yell about some things I didn't like. This movie includes the Wayne family. Thomas Wayne is like this bad guy in the movie. I really love that. I don't like any part where they brought in Bruce Wayne. I think it was just a total cop-out, and it was just, there was no reason for them to do it. I'm going to spoil it because I don't care. There are two scenes in the movie in which like there's like a really close thing with Thomas Wayne. There's one where Arthur Fleck goes to the Wayne Manor and like talks to Bruce Wayne, and that scene does not need to be in the movie. They just included Bruce Wayne for no reason, and then like they made this a Batman thing, and it was really lame. And then of course the other scene involving Bruce Wayne is the Waynes are killed, and we see Batman's origin story start out, and it just confuses people so much because now there's questions like, oh, is he gonna be in the Robert Pattinson Batman movie? That's ridiculous, and it will never ever happen. And I think that it was totally irresponsible for them to do that. They had this wonderful, this was called a cinematic achievement on a higher level by the president of the Toronto International Film Festival, and they included Batman's origin story. Super lame. And some of the dialogue in this movie isn't great. I mean, it's mostly terrific. Don't get me wrong, but there's one line that really, really made me angry. There's a bit where Joaquin Phoenix is in this dressing room, right? And he's all jokered up. And he's going like, you know, and he's being like, ooh, and then like, you know, Mark Maron shows up along with Robert De Niro, and they're like, I'm Robert De Niro. What is this? Why are you dressed like a clown? And he's just like, and they go, is this political? And he's like, oh, I'm not political at all, guys. I don't believe in any of that stuff. And then he says this, and I got infuriated. He goes, I don't believe in anything. If there's one thing I don't like in movies, it's when they try to represent nihilism. It's overdone. It's not 1997 anymore, guys. We can move on. We've all seen Fight Club, and like, you know, you watch a great movie like The Big Lebowski that just pokes fun at people that believe in nothing. None of this is worth complaining about. I want to fill the time because this is a great movie, and I really think most people should see this unless you're young. I definitely recommend Joker. And I also recommend that when you watch it, don't think of it as an origin story for the Joker. That will ruin the movie for you. This is about a guy. This has nothing to do with any of that other stuff. Okay, guys, we made it. We made it to the number one spot on this list. I'm sure a couple of you sharp sleuths have noticed that there's a movie that I talk about a lot that I've left out of this. So get your cameras ready. Put this into 1.9 to 1 aspect ratio. Put on that black and white filter and get your sea captain's hat on. Number one on this list is The Lighthouse for me. This was last minute. This was like number 5 or 4. I love The Lighthouse. I just watched it again. This movie is about two men in the late 1890s who are lighthouse keepers. It's great. It's kind of like The Shining. These two guys lose their minds. A storm keeps them on the island longer than they anticipated, and it's terrific in every single way. I think the performances by Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe are great. I think Robert Pattinson's good. I think Willem Dafoe had a career-defining performance, and I think it was really shameful that this movie didn't get nominated for several Oscars. It got nominated for cinematography, which it definitely deserves. But Willem Dafoe definitely deserves to be getting recognition for his role in this movie. He plays like this old, experienced sea guy who's been in the Navy for 13 Christmases, and he talks like a pirate, and it's just... This movie's awesome. It's exciting, it's mysterious, it's disturbing, it's funny, and it's just like you're sitting there in a theater, not a movie theater, like a theater, like a theater with an RE, watching this two-man play unfold. Like, you watch these guys go through so much abuse from nature and from each other and from the lighthouse and from themselves mainly. Like, these characters actually have depth to them, both of them, and it's really cool to kind of watch that develop. This is not for everyone. This is like a really, really good movie, and I feel like some people can't recognize good movies when they see them. Also, if you have a thing about birds, I don't recommend this. The seagulls in this movie are evil. They're evil and they do bad things, and it's kind of gross. And this movie's there's some practical effects done in this movie. Some of the rain is fake, some of it is real, but the rainstorm looks awesome. The people constructed mermaid genitalia. I don't know why they did it, but it's a part of the movie, and it's an impressive prosthetic. And oh god, so much of the movie, it's so well shot, it's so well acted. The score is like haunting. There's just this foghorn that just boo through the whole movie, and it's just it's so immersive, it's so good, and I'm so happy that it ended up being a great movie. And that's my number one pick of a 2019 movie. I think that was the best movie of 2019. It wasn't my favorite. Joker was my favorite, but The Lighthouse, that's the number one highest quality movie in my own personal opinion. If you made it through this whole list, I hit a monitor with that. I hope that didn't scratch it. I hope it didn't get a paper cut. If you made it through this whole list, I want to thank you deeply. This is something I care about. This is something I put a lot of thought into, and it's very nice of you if you've made it this far. If you disagree at all, or if you agree strongly, let me know. I like to talk about movies, and if you want to talk about movies, I'll tell you that you're wrong about movies. Like if you said some ridiculous thing, like Tobey Maguire is not the best Spider-Man, or The Lighthouse is a bad movie and it shouldn't be getting anything. If you say stuff like that, prepare to get a barrage of words back, guys, because I will discuss this. I'll put on my cinema robe, and if not, in the meantime, I'll prepare for the 2020 list. Later this week, I'll be going to see The Gentleman, starring Matthew McConaughey and others. Supposedly it's really good. That's going to be kicking off my 2020 list, but that doesn't matter right now. My 2019 list that is now on the floor, that's what matters. Thank you so much, and bye. See you at the movies, guys. Is that a cool outro, or am I being a dork? It doesn't matter, guys. Have a great day.